So I guess the first question, we had yesterday on the satsang, which is really practical and quite useful, that, when I mentioned a little bit of the each posture has its own concept, idea and dristi. Even though I can't go in each and every posture, but I thought if I bring like 6 or 7 key concepts of Hatha Yoga and just remind you all again. I know we did touch them a little bit on the first module. But I do find, I think when we start, we tend to forget everything, and as we go through the long journey, now things start to make sense. I'm not sure how many of you remember the pranayama we did yesterday, and all those mandalas. We did do them, but do we remember them or not? Because once you go through the sadhana, then things definitely start to make more sense. And even when I listen, so many of my teachers I follow, I remember sort of something I heard the teacher talking about few years back, and then you hear it again, and then suddenly you start to hear so many things that you didn't hear in first time. So I guess the first time when you're trying to listen any practice, any concept, what focus is really listening, like we want to learn it. I believe once okay, Gyandev is talking about breathe in and lift your leg up and breathe out and down. He's talking about breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and hold and out. Then you start to thinking about that. And then you start to pay your attention more into the finer things of the visualizations and steps. So it's nice. If you feel that, I can tell you are growing in the practice. You're doing very well. So you can give yourself 10 out of 10. If you feel, why didn't I hear it before? So we were talking about understanding the concept of the asana and where does my focus go, or what should I be thinking about. At the one topic I did touch yesterday. So our first concept of Hatha Yoga we follow is based on the principle of spanda nispanda. So the spanda is your action, your stretch, your doing. And then the nispanda is letting go, relaxing, not doing. So this is really, to me, one of the key principle in old Hatha Yoga traditions they used to follow. You're doing and then you're not doing. So in that concept that they will explain about, it doesn't matter which posture, which kriya, which sun salutation you're doing. In the first part, in spanda, your focus should be on your stress points, your pressure points. Where do you feel stressed? And then when you go into nispanda, in second part, your focus should be where do you feel the sensations of relaxation. That can be, I'm sure if you sort of you really hold something tight and when you let go, so that sense of nice, or the gust of the blood, the energy that flows into that area, whatever sensation you get. So in the spanda nispanda concept, your 2 focus points, one is to focus on your stress point, and then the 2 is to focus on your relaxation point. Now in that idea, actually they don't give you, or sort of almost they say, if you are telling your students or anyone to feel the pressure points what you want to feel them, they actually explain that is the obstacle for your students or people who are following practice with you. All you need to mention is focus on your own tension, your own pressure points. And same when you come to relaxation, you would not have to say, I want you to feel this deep relaxation in your shoulders. You just say, feel the sensations, feel the sense of ease in where you feel it. So I was just wondering, why don't let's try to do something. So shall we just do Garuda Mudra actually? I'm just thinking. So if you all come, take your right hand up, thread your arms, let's slightly lift them up, and then take your chin down as if you're doing your Chalandra Bandha, and then hold there, close your eyes. And I'd like you to feel your own pressure point. Is there a nerve? Is there a muscle? Is there a joint? And then release. Now let go. Release your arms down on your knees, Sunya Mudra, and feel your own sensations of relaxation, nispanda. Once you feel normal sensations dissolved, then you do the switch side. So you're taking your left arm up and again. So I like you to also feel what is the difference when you're doing the same mudra but with the right hand or left hand dominant. So that's to give you even a little insight how even your own body can have a completely different experience. And then release. Again, feel the nispanda. Open your eyes when you're ready. Now, you all need to just say one little word. So tell me what will be your focus point.
So my focus point first time was just on that muscle there.
Okay. Let's keep going. Okay.
My shoulders.
Shoulders. Shoulder.
Shoulder and then wrist on the other side.
Okay. So can you all see the point? Now, if I would have said, just pay the attention to one particular area, like this is like we are practicing every day, or each one's focus point in the same mudra. This is something really, really simple. So in a Nispanda concept, it says, pay your attention to your own stress, your pressure points. And then in Nispanda, when you let go of the posture, pay the attention to where you feel the energy, the sensation moving. And I believe it can never be more simpler than that to begin. And in this idea, in the Yagyavalkya Samhita, it says, if you are telling people what to experience, you are putting obstacles. Now, in modern time, you will be different, because if you don't say few things, people will think you don't know anything. So please, don't completely go into that. You got to be find, for me, I more believe, bring a little bit in between path. So you are saying few things, you are mentioning people, okay, you need to be careful with your shoulders or your arm in Garuda Mudra. So you mentioning them what they need to be aware of, but then the rest just say focus on your own pressure point. The second idea that we follow about is our concept of the Pallavini Kriya. So where we are talking about our body awareness. So I'm still hanging on to the first month, not moving on anywhere further. So in that one actually we talk about the neuroplasticity. So here we are coming to the concept of Adi Vyadi. So that is psychosomatic, and then we have the Vyadi Adi, somatopsychic. So you are using your mind for your body to do something, and then you are using your body to feel that. So in that way you become a little bit more precise. Now, if you want me to really make it complex, as it says, so in the first part, if I follow it fully, and we will do the practice for a few minutes to kind of all, I know you all did very hard in the morning, so I'll see if we can do something a bit more relaxing in a minute. So say if I was doing the Pallavini Kriyas, which is the first set is leg lift, right leg, right hand, left hand. So that can be a little bit more complex. When you're doing your right leg up, breathing in, lifting up, thinking of your Ida or your Chandra, your left side of your brain. So you pay the attention into the left side and the right leg lift. And when you do the left leg, then you move your awareness. So creating the bridge or the connection between your thought, your brain, and then flowing that awareness into it. And that practice, again, just to make it a bit complex, please do write it somewhere, and I will share a few practices with you all too, with Pranyanand. Now, when we're talking about this concept of Panch Pranic energy alignment, so in yoga we don't have the concept of neuroplasticity, but I use that word to make it simple. So in yoga we talk about the alignment of the Panch Prana Vayus, or the 5 energies that are governed by the prana into your digestive, into your sacral, into your skeletal and muscular system, into your blood or energy circulation. So we are talking about governing, which sort of, when I think that in a modern perspective, really sort of thinking of your neuroplasticity with your brain, your mind, you know what you're doing. You are fully connected with yourself, and that's where the energies flow freely or harmoniously. So the one way to do the practice to activate these energies, then you can do right leg lift, left leg lift, do it 3 times each, or you can do, so then you're doing the right leg 3 times, left leg 3 times, right hand 3 times, left hand 3 times, head 3 times, Pavan Mukta Kriya 3 times. But once you know the practice, then to really enhance the benefits, you actually move between the pranic, these energy fields I was talking about. So you can do right leg, left leg, right hand, left hand, and then head. And then you go again, right leg, left leg. So to do the 3 rounds, you will be moving into your right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right. And that really start to awaken your body and your pranic polarity or the enhancement. So in that one, you sort of almost start to move your awareness in a circular way, and in those moments again your focus point will be guided with the energy field itself. So here the focus ideally not really supposed to be on your joints anymore, so if you want to take it further. So like earlier I was talking about the pressure point, now your awareness, if I'm doing that idea, then when I'm breathing in, I don't want to pay attention into my shoulder if possible. I want to pay the attention into the energy and the communication between my arm and head. So breathing in, I really want to feel the energy and the hand moving up and down. Hope that makes some sense. So you're moving into the subtle pranic and the conscious energy flow with the kriyas or with the movements, and in that way we always do move in a circular way to activate all the energies, bring the alignment or the health and well-being. And it's something I do really recommend for next few months to enhance your health, your well-being, and it's one of the amazing practice actually to enhance especially your body immunity. So if you do feel that we are moving again into the second wave and you want to prepare yourself, whatever practice, again the practice doesn't have to be, when I say Pallavini Kriyas, I know in our notes we got the set of leg lifts, head lift and all that. But Pallavini simply means a circular practice. The only thing there, the practice has to be so simple that you can move your mind into the energy. Because if I'm doing sun salutations and if I'm trying to think of the energies, like what we were doing earlier, and if I tell you to just think of energy while I got you stuck onto the plank, I don't know how many of us can do that, because we just really, our muscles, the isometric, the tension, the pressure is there. So the practices need to be so simple and subtle that you can transcend from the physical body into the mind body. So the second focus in the practices, when the practices are simpler and subtler, we have this Pallavini concept, where using your dynamic, your movement of the body to feel, to experience, or to pay attention to the energy fields in that part. So if you feel, okay, I talked enough about the body awareness, I want to move into the energy, then whatever kriya you're doing, you're talking about the energy and the sensations awareness into the body, like we were doing those kriyas. So if I'm talking about the really deep stress, then you need to be in stress. But if I can forget about that, I'm just like breathing in and going out. And this is what I was trying to introduce, that halfway your eyes closed and other halfway your eyes opening. So I was trying to give you a foundation to transcend your mind away from your body, because suddenly if you get your eyes involved, you have to remember that halfway through I'm going to open my eyes, and I can tell you it's not as easy as you think. Half of us, including me, I'm saying half of us, half of the time I was like breathing in, and suddenly here I was still my eyes closed, other times I was opening. So you're using your eyes, your drishti also in between to move or transcend from the physical movement into your energetic field. So your second practice, your visualization, your drishti, your awareness, you try to move it from the body into the energetic flow or the sensation. So here we're talking about awareness or the focus on the energy itself, not the body anymore. And in that way, I can tell you when you start to flow, and that can be as simple as breathing in arm up and down. If you can do something like that for 10, 15 minutes, your body will be sweating, or you will be feeling just like fully charged up, more than the sun salutations. Because your body start to release the prana in a deep down into the metabolic level, cellular level. Your body start to burn down anything that is not necessary there. So that is our second concept. Your awareness goes into the energy flows. The third concept typically we follow in the Tantra, in our Hatha Yoga practices, the concept of Loma Viloma, or concept of polarity. So in the concept of Loma Viloma, concept of polarity, think of ourselves as the earth. There is a north end and there is a south end. So above your head, think there is a positive end of the magnetic field, the energetic field. From the positive end, then the positive energy, the cations, if I'm right, the cations flowing down towards the negative end, the south end, below your feet. And then from there, the negative energy flows back up and goes up towards your head. Now, in a very sort of typical way, they talk about the energy flows down through the center of your head, through the central channel, just like it flows into the earth. And when it gets down, then it opens up into a big oval or egg. And again, here in the visualization, think of it coming along the surface or the skin and the tissues of your body. And then it goes back up and then it turns down. Something like that. Is there a name for, I don't know, it's not coming in my mind in English. It just flows. Yeah, like a magnetic. But do we have a name for this kind of shape? Do you know what I'm doing or not really? Am I just fixing myself? I don't know. Hopefully you all know what I mean. Sometimes the words maybe it doesn't need to be there. So in that idea, when you do the practice, so that idea goes into when your practice is expanding your body and closing your body. So if I take a simple example, something we do every day, Dandasana. So what I'm doing here, I'm expanding. So in that way, I can visualize that the two energies, my negative and the positive energies, are expanding and making the bigger energy space. And when I'm closing, I'm bringing the positive and the negative, the prana and apana, and loma and viloma together. How does that sound? Now that can be in many practices. Same it can be in your Dandakriya, because in Dandakriya, if you think, you begin with moving up, so that's expansion, then coming back to the center, then closing it into Dharmika. So you're expanding the prana and apana. This is where the polarity benefits, the Loma Viloma benefits, and then you're closing it in. Similarly, if you think of the Loma Viloma series, in the first series and third series, you're doing leg lift, head lift, so you expanding the energy, and in the second and fourth series, you are closing, you're bringing the two parts together. So you're moving up into what we call the Stamamasana, where you're going up there. Well, like in the first one, you got leg and head lift. So in this third concept, you are expanding and closing and visualizing the polarity and the balance. Think of a battery. If your battery in your car need to be doing everything it should be, then you need to have the right polarity, right charge, and that charge need to be freely moving. So in that way, you need to charge yourself up and you need to enhance the flow of the energy. So that's the third concept, where you have your drishti, your mind on the practices, postures to focus. And this is Swamiji actually mentions, years back, he mentioned that in 1962 or 63, before even we had the Wi-Fi and stuff. He said, as the life will go on and on, the toxicity, the pollution in our environment. Now, he wasn't really talking about the carbon dioxide and all that. He said this polar toxicity. So I believe he was talking about the electromagnetic toxicity that we live in. If you turn your phone on and look at how many Wi-Fi connections you can get to, or if you tune into radio, how many radio channels, the waves are constantly moving through the air. And now we got the 5G coming. I'm not sure how many of you believe in the whole controversial theories that going around. But in that concept, it definitely have some negative effect on our health and well-being. So what he mentioned is that if you can't change that, if you can't work on the environmental, this electromagnetic toxicity, he said bring one practice, and that can be as simple as your Dandakirya moving up into Stra Dharmika, or it can be Dharmika Vajrasana. So something like that, or you can do one of the series of Loma Viloma. You can choose the Paschimottanasana. So that's another typical set. You got Paschimottanasana, Dandasana, and Pratiphalasana. So you are actually said bring one of the practice, and Swamiji does recommend that in a typical traditional Hatha Yoga class, you should always bring one practice, even if it's for like a minute, that enhances your polarity, and that will help you to create a stronger magnetic field to keep you protected. And I do tell people who actually work in a stressful environment where people are constantly dumping their, I'm just going to not say the word, on you, which you don't need it, but you can't really do much with it, then the Mukhabastrikas, Seking Jatis, and then the one set of Loma Viloma practice should be introduced in your day-to-day life. And if you can't turn everyone's Wi-Fi off, then it's worth to have a couple of minutes of a set of 3 or 4 postures, or you can do the whole Loma Viloma series if you got time. Have that in your regular practice. So that is the third sort of visualization, the idea, the principle in Hatha Yoga. We bring in the concept of the polarity, concept of this pranic and apanic, the Loma and Viloma energy field. And actually when you're moving through the Kiryas, you can see that almost every posture you move up and down will have that concept. And then from there, then we move into a little bit more complicated, because then each posture will also have its own key focus point. And in the typical sort of tradition, see, all the postures were given names, or they were actually taken from various animals, species, and the life forms to really gain the benefit what comes from it. So like the tree posture, the Vrikshasana, that attitude of giving everything we can without having a desire to take anything, receive everything. It's just giving fruits, giving shelter, giving leaf, giving the pure air, and still being grounded. If you think of giving, many people are really good in giving, but that giving can also help you to grow a bigger and bigger ego, because I give because people can tell me how great I am. So actually the Vrikshasana is that grounding, that stability, and still giving or offering what you can. But can you offer without gradually growing up bigger and bigger somewhere in? And this is, you can see that actually I experienced many times with people who start some really amazing projects, charity and stuff, and then as they grow bigger and bigger into it, gradually the original idea, the concept disappears. And I'm sure you all would have seen it. So actually the concept of Vrikshasana begins with, yes, I want to grow, I want to prosper, and I want other people to grow around me, take what they can from me, but can I still stay into the ground? Because the minute you pull the roots out, tell me what happens to the tree. So it's about balance, it's about that grounding. All the warrior variations, and I'm going to just use the same warrior variation because there are around 84 or more postures, different names, like we have Vajravirasana, we have the Virasana, then we have the Viryasana, we have Virbhadrasana, like in modern sort of ways we call them the warrior 1, warrior 2. I'm not going to go into each one of them, it's fine, I'll leave it simple for you. So whichever you call it, warrior 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave it like that. So there are like lots and lots of postures, and each one of them talk about your attention, your focus is in your heart. From your heart, think if you are sitting in your own heart, you're looking outward. Is that confusing? It's like, can we look at people and smile at them without thinking, if I smile, would James make me tea? Would Archana make a chai if I keep smiling?
If you make a joke, will James laugh?
Or would James laugh? Yeah. So actually, so in the warrior, then your gaze is not in anymore. So if I got my arm up there, they say your gaze follows your fingers and it goes as far as you can. But your seat is in your heart. It's like, when you say, like, oh, I like to look out of the window. Well, you're still inside the window, aren't you? You're not gone out of the window, are you? So think of that, you in your heart, and there is a window that you expanding with the posture. Or if I was doing that, I was talking about, so here, even though we're doing a stretch, but we not really knowing what I'm doing in my hip, what I'm doing with my hamstrings. It's fine to talk about them in a class, but your actual gaze is being upright and looking up there. So in all the warriors, we talk about the heart is really the main practice. They talk about the virya, the bravery that enables you to live and love yourself. So that means being a brave doesn't mean you have to look like, oh, I'm a warrior. Should have done it off. So actually, to live your life and to fulfill all your dharma, especially when you're talking about the good things, you need to be so brave. Honestly, you have to even get a glass of juice instead of a glass of wine, you got to be so brave to be able to say, I think I'm just going to have a glass of juice, I'm fine with that. Because the negativity is actually falling into the whirlpool. You don't have to do anything. But the positive is climbing up on the hill. And until you get to the top, it is hard work. And this is why we say to actually live your life properly, live your life with health, live your life with the true joy. It's a practice of a brave heart. So that's the attitude in all the warriors we're talking about, that the brave, the warrior. Then the fourth concept of postures, we have what we call the mandalas. Now, the typical example, I'll keep it only to one for now, the Trikonasana variations, Parsva Konasana variations, the angle postures, even the Baddha Konasana, where you are creating a mandala, you're creating that mandala. So if you sort of create the connections, you got the one here, and then if I connect the one string from here and then coming down. So if you draw it all and you start to connect your body parts, your limbs, I have my hands here, if you start to connect them all, it creates one of the most complex mandalas. So I'm talking about Baddha Konasana as we don't really think that way, but actually in the Tantra it explains this is one of the most complex mandala of your body you can create. If you start to start joining your parts with the brain. So if I think of my left foot connecting to the right brain, then the right to the left, and then if I got my hands crossing, then you create another breathing. So it actually makes one of the most complex diamond that you can think of. And this is more of the advanced practice in some ways, because it's easy to say Trikonasana, let's just do the triangle twist. Now, if I talk from the classical texts, they don't really mention twists there. They actually talk more of the mandala that you're creating. So if you're doing the standing Trikonasana we were doing yesterday, then you're talking about the triangle between your feet up to your hip, and then the triangle between your hand to the floor. So again, you will have like 4 or 5 different triangles. So your visualization will be trying to see those triangles. You can choose one, you can choose 2, depending on how complex you want to take your visualization, and then seeing that energy access. So into the therapeutic sense of Hatha Yoga, those are actually really complex healing practices. And this is how, if you think of most spiritual places, now I'm talking from the ancient time, they all are created in some sort of mandala or energetic field. If you think people just decided, oh, I want the top of the temple or church to meet up and create that the round, or to have the pyramids into the shape. No, it wasn't just a simple art creation. It was more of people had the access, how I can get most out of that energy, how I can create the energy to the best I can. So we have this concept of mandalas, where you are creating the geometrical energy shapes and you visualizing that in your posture. And then the last, and I guess the sort of more advanced one, where you're doing your posture and your focus point becomes your chakras. So like earlier we were doing Navasana, so you can just focus on your core, you can focus on your legs, you can focus on your shoulders. So those are the physical focus points. You can think of your prana, apana, your loma, viloma. But into the most advanced practice, then the Navasana will become the posture for your solar plexus, your Manipur chakra. So you will be paying all your attention to that chakra or that energy center, nothing to do with physical body anymore. I will stop here. So if you have anything that you want to add, ask.
That's very interesting that you say that, because I really don't like Vipassana at all.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that posture, or the series of postures. And I've had quite a bit of reflexology over the last 6 months or so, and it always comes back to the solar plexus.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting.
There you go. You got the practice to sort it out.
Yeah.